Hello there humans, I am Dal Cecile Renaud, the partially blind alien from a distant galaxy whose unknown voices author. This video is part of the AuthorTube seminar series Wordstock, Volume 2, Day 2, and we're talking tension. Be sure to check all the other videos from today, and if you haven't watched from last Wednesday, they are talking about suspense, check that out as well. I'm gonna leave links to the playlist in the description and in the pinned comment. Now, I have a question. Heads or tails? A bridge or number? Nice coincidence that Hungarians used a bridge for a 200 forint coin. A bridge has two sides, keeping two separate landmasses together, allowing movement from one side to the other. The chain bridge was the first permanent bridge that united the three cities of Buda, Old Buda in the north, and Pest. Before its construction, people could only cross with a pontoon bridge, and when winter came, well, they were stuck in one side or the other until the weather was nicer and the pontoon bridge was back in place. On December of 1820, Count István Széchenyi got news of his father's passing in Vienna. He couldn't get to the funeral, or so I've read in several websites over the years. My memory isn't perfect. Thing is, he was stuck on the Pest side, unable to cross, and he vowed to build a permanent bridge no matter the cost. The chain bridge was inaugurated in 1849, and it is maybe the first thing that people visualize when they hear about Budapest. No wonder they put it in their money. The word tension makes me think of string and percussion instruments. In order to get the right sounds, you need to tune the strings, tense them just enough to get the right notes, stretch the skin of the drums to get the desired tones. Now that I think about it, some of my favorite bands use a lot of contrasting sounds. Take Nightwish, where symphonic meets metal. Or the Argentine-Uruguayan Bajofondo, who fuse tango with contemporary sounds. Or Hatari's mesmerizing mixture of Clemens luring you in like a siren while Matthias is yelling at you. Or the sadly no longer together folk pop band Nox, who fused traditional Hungarian folk with modern beats. As an artist, I've always liked working with contrast. Back in my days of a blind photographer, one of my fortes was silhouettes, the contrast of light and shadow. Maybe this is why now that I'm a writer, I can't get enough of dual POV stories. I've written a few single POVs too, but I feel more at ease when I can play with two sides of a story. Let's go back to that coin flipping business. This act of tossing a coin, the anticipation of the end result, a 50-50 chance for things to go well or wrong, and yet the coin itself performs this balanced choreography of spinning in midair, like a figure skater doing a triple Lutz. When I'm planning a story, be it short or a novel, I like to focus on both characters. It could be a hero and a villain, or two protagonists, or two morally grey characters, depending on the story. I feel incomplete if I don't get to at least fully understand both sides, because to me, a story is like a coin, and whoever I focus on are the two faces of the same theme. In my current work in progress, I outlined the story to go back and forth between the two protagonists, trying to create this coin-spinning movement as the story moved along. The first book in this trilogy was perhaps the easiest because the two protagonists start off completely unaware of the other's existence, so the reader gets to see the contrast I tried to create between them. I say I try because, remember, I'm learning like everyone else. In this movement of chapters I've planned, I had to keep in mind that both characters have their individual goals, and here's where the lines get blurred sometimes. Of course, for a dual POV story to be a story, and not two separate things poorly glued together, I felt it was necessary to show some overlapping chapters or scenes. Those brief moments when you only see the thin edge of the coin while it's spinning. As writers, we control the flow of the story, and we can speed up or slow down entire scenes or even chapters to evoke whatever emotion we wish the reader to feel. I used those overlapping moments to show the reader that maybe, just maybe, what this character wants could affect the other character. I wanted to make clear that this story won't be a full happy ending for both sides, but still keeping the reader in this state of anticipation. Many craft books are geared towards single POV stories, for the most part. If you know of a good book for structuring multiple POV stories, please share it in the comments below. At the moment, I'm not aware of any craft books for what I want to do with my stories, so I planned them alone, the best way I could. And I placed those overlapping moments near the most important beats of a novel, like the inciting incident, the end of Act 2, and of course the climax. I mean, I tried my best. Those blurred lines at those particular stages remind the reader that things can take an abrupt turn in the next scene. They'll have to read on to know. There's another little trick that I realized I used often. As I tend to write about blind characters, car scenes became a space for me to create a contrast between safety and danger. I did that in one of my shorts. Without spoiling things, I can say that I wrote both. A scene in which the blind character is stuck inside a car with someone who wants to cause harm, and someone who gave her a ride to a safer place. In which order I did this, I won't tell you. Find out when I publish it. But I realized that I not only did that in my short, in fact, I have it planned out for the sci-fi trilogy as well. A car ride can be both a pleasant and a dangerous experience, especially for us who need to trust sighted people to drive us somewhere. In your story, find some of those situations in which your character is the most vulnerable, and when they need to trust someone or something, then use these to create contrast, and therefore an ever-flowing feeling of tension or anticipation that will keep them turning pages. Unlike the strong bridges of Budapest that kept me and everyone else safe as we crossed from one side to the other, make your story a suspended wooden bridge above a loud and powerful river. And like the story god that you are now, make the weather change with every few steps the reader takes to cross the bridge. Without getting too scientific, I think both suspense and tension are to a story what gravity is to the universe. When creating the right amount of uncertainty and conflict, we keep the minds of readers grounded and engaged, just like gravity keeps everything in place. And yet, it flows and shifts. Gravity on Earth is not the same as on Mars or on the Moon. And thanks to the gravitational pull, we see this beautiful circling dance between celestial bodies, similar again to that coin spinning in midair. Your readers are grounded, but your story is a glowing, shiny rocket traveling across the universe you have created. There will be shifts in the gravitational pull, and the best part of it is that you decide where it goes, when, and how. In the end, it is you who decides which side of the coin ends on top. Like mirrors, copying and reflecting, then trying to move away, jumping here and there in various dreams and settings, still bumping into one another, not following, not chasing, yet no matter how hard they tried, sooner or later, rather he or she would run away, or pretend the other was invisible, as if one was awake while the other out of body. From their familiar and nostalgic Dublin, where they once met and danced awkwardly, to the crowded and bustling boulevards of the ultra-modern Seoul, to the empty streets of Helsinki or the warm and bright colors of Johannesburg. She saw the world, while he erased someone from it. Eagerness versus stress, searching versus regret and death, all swirling in their gravitational pull. Two sleeping souls, a sun and a moon.